Hey guys, this is Jon
and Austin,
and this is another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. You may be able to hear from the tone of my voice, I am dead tired. Came in today literally to do the podcast, and I'm going back home and crashing. So we'll get to that, but we've got a couple of other things first that I think need attention before we get to any stories.
So we have stuff sitting out here on the table for those that are just listening and not watching us on YouTube. Normally we have like a reason behind eating, and we just didn't have, at least I didn't think we had a plan. And then Jon came back and said he actually had something, but then I'd already got stuff.
Yep.
And so it is what it is. I just went to a local store. Well, not really a local store. Went to a store here and went to like the regional ethnic.
That's the same place
section.
I got the Iberica chorizo that we didn't like.
Yeah. And I got a bunch of weird stuff that is meat related, and just thought it would be fun and interesting to try, because how many times do you go buy stuff in the store and you're like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I don't want to pay $10 to try that. So
Right.
I figured Jon and I would be the guinea pigs.
Your guinea pigs.
And try some fun stuff here.
Now, some of them are obviously going to be good, and there's two particular ones that are, I'm at least very on the fence about both of them. So do you want to go through and try them and talk about them, or talk about them all first and then review? I'm up.
I think we just try and talk.
Try them all.
Try and talk as we go.
So let's try that one first, and then we'll go to good ones, and then we'll decide if we're trying the last one.
This is going to be one of the best ones.
It's not going to be good.
So what this is, as soon as I opened it, Jon is freaking out because he thinks it smells horrible. And I got all excited and giddy inside because it smells like Vienna sausages.
So listen, when we drove up to Missoula, Montana for BHA, you ate Vienna sausages in the car.
Uh-huh.
I had zero problem with that. They didn't smell bad at all. That smells bad.
Yeah.
Tell them what it is.
It is French pork liver pate. So let's see if I can pull the actual ingredients. The ingredients are pork livers, water, modified cornstarch, salt, sodium caseinate, spices, garlic flavor, sodium nitrite.
It smells terrible.
So it's...
And we don't even have any crackers to spread it on or anything.
You don't need crackers.
All right. Well, let's get at it. We've got 2 spoons here. You show me the correct size to take, and I will take half of that.
It's a little heavier consistency than a Vienna sausage is, but it's like ground and emulsified just the same.
It smells exactly like cat food.
Someone would
literally exactly. Yeah, this smells exactly what we used to give. My wife had a huge fat cat who was 26 pounds, and this smells like the food we had to give him when the doctor was trying to get him to lose weight.
Huh.
It looks like it's pre-chewed already.
Maybe.
It does look like it kind of does. Yeah. All right.
I might have to try cat food.
Austin's probably going to enjoy
Texture is very strange.
Oh.
Not the same as Vienna sausages.
I tried to chew that as little as possible.
Flavor spot on.
What do you...
No, it's spot on for what? That's what your Vienna sausages taste like?
No. Okay, so that's like a Vienna sausage with some chicken livers. I've never had like actual pork liver, but it tastes the same as chicken livers.
I bet you could catch a ton of catfish with that. They would love that. Smells god-awful. Tastes god-awful.
No, not at all.
Texture is 0. Taste is 0. Scent is 0. No, not a 0. So it's bad, but it's not like... It's nowhere near as bad as like the first few beaver tails we tried.
Man, I don't know what's wrong with your taste buds, or what must be off with mine. But
Patrick,
like I will eat that again.
No,
do you want to come?
No.
So just so you know, I've got some duck foie gras in there that we're going to eat at some point.
What is that?
That is, I think it's usually a goose.
Oh yeah, they force feed it something.
They basically force feed a goose like a certain diet, and then take its liver and make pate out of it. So at some point we're going to try that duck.
Didn't
like it?
The real authentic, like where he stared into space and moved his neck back as if he's like, wait, what's happening?
He kind of nodded his head though as I was going, so I was surprised with that.
I'm trying to process, like I'm literally watching like a goose get force fed.
Yeah.
And like then I'm butchering it, and just I'm very, very image heavy on stuff.
This is duck, so I don't know if it's the same. If they do the same thing, but whatever. We'll try that later. That is going to be much better than this.
No way.
Yes.
No.
All right. Well, we disagree strongly on there. Where do you want to go next? We've got what is that? Truffle?
Black truffle salami.
Oh.
So
I mean,
this looked interesting because I started trying some different black XYZ things. I have one that's like I want to say it's a black truffle. Have one that's like a black garlic. I don't know what's special about those things, but I like the flavor.
truffles are expensive. That's all I know.
Black garlic's actually pretty tasty.
Pigs and dogs get them. Yeah, just recently heard about black garlic.
Releases like a sweetness of sorts. Like it reminds me of a mix between like a raisin and like a fig Newton.
What have you had
flavor.
it in?
My fiance, her mom forced me to eat it one day.
Okay, just by itself.
There's a process to actually getting the garlic to turn black or whatever the heck it is. But then, just by itself, I think, and I was like reluctant, but then I go, oh, it's actually kind of sweet, kind of like almost like a tasty treat, but not so bad. But apparently all the great benefits of it, but you know me, I don't care. Hey, it's great for me. I'll try it. Sure.
So I don't love the smell of this, just to be honest. I don't think it smells very good. It's pork, black truffle, sea salt, celery powder, spices, dextrose, garlic, lactic acid, starter culture. So it is a dry cured.
If you squeeze it, it oozes.
Maybe that'll change my mind of the smell, though, actually, now that I know that it's dry cured. Because the funkier something is, usually the better it tastes.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
That's quite good.
That is good.
Quite good. This is Tempesta artisan salami, Tartufo black truffle salami, and that is very good.
Wow.
My only complaint, no nitrites or nitrates added. They're lying, obviously. That's just a mislabel. And I wonder how much longer they're going to let that go on for. At some point, they have to say, no, those are still nitrites.
I don't know. I got a news story in today that's not specifically about that, but it's related to labeling, and it really just crushed my soul. So
that's a very strong reaction to a labeling issue with the USDA that it crushed your soul.
There's the thing is, it didn't come from the USDA. It came from the judicial system, and so we'll see how the USDA wants to do things, because technically I think it could still be done if the USDA wanted to do it. We'll see. We'll have to talk about that.
I can understand the justice system crushing your soul. That one.
That's why I was like, whose opinion would he hold in high regard to the point where he would be crushed when they give news?
Now, that is doing the same thing that Iberico pork did with a mouth coating. The stuff we made here, the chorizo and the Italian that Dylan and I made a couple years ago, did not do that. It left a little coating in your mouth, but it doesn't have that, whatever that like final taste is. It's just, it's not great. It's not terrible. It's just kind of annoying.
The differences are probably the type of fat and the fat content and starter culture. Did we use a lactic acid starter culture?
Yep.
We did?
Yep. Yeah, we dry cured it.
I don't know then.
Well, let's move on.
Some of it could be the dryness level. Sorry.
That's fine.
Still thinking. Because so it comes in a little like paper wax type of deal, but it's still roll stocked inside there. And so when it's encased in there, it might change a little bit. If next time we get something like that, open it up, let it sit out for a few days, maybe a couple weeks.
We can do it right there.
Yeah. Okay. Try that in a couple weeks.
We should cut it, vacuum pack half of it, leave the other ones out, and we'll try it in a future week.
Yeah, that'd be good to do.
So the next one is these things. They're salami whips.
Ow!
Which I just hit off with. The second I saw that was immediately what I decided I was going to do. I mean, you can't give me something called a whip and not expect me to hit you with it. That did not hurt, because you probably didn't get it. Like, you didn't snap it as well as I did.
It didn't. Yours didn't break off on mine, so all the
force
energy went.
I once gave a kid in football practice. Well, it was after football practice. An enormous black and blue that covered like half of one of his pec from a wet towel snap. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was Chris Dufort. It snapped perfectly and everything turned black and blue. It was great. Okay.
Well, Austin said he's such a visual guy. Did you imagine all that as it happened?
Oh, yeah.
So this is salami whips, semi-dry cured Hatch chili pepper, no MSG, does not say no nitrates. Okay. Yeah, that's really good.
Like, now that you have me thinking about it, like, I do image everything in my head. When you were reading that, I was like looking at the package, like reading off, like as you're reading the words. It's creepy. I have to play everything out in my head.
Yeah.
But
That is, I don't know if that's strange or not.
Well,
No, just very,
well,
visual.
that's more common than the alternative where you don't see anything in your head.
Yeah.
I have a buddy of mine that
Your
like,
buddy?
he says, he goes, yeah, I just see black. And I'm like, well, but you're seeing something. But there's a word for it, but that's not our topic for this
Not
podcast
really.
for sure.
Not-
so
yeah, not really.
And even if it was, we're not experts in it. So
I feel like I would eat a lot of those.
This is basically like a less greasy Slim Jim with
Yes.
a clear casing instead of a smoked, and just a little different flavor and slightly coarser.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, that Slim Jim stuff is like, I don't know how they make that, but I'm sure that's turned into basically a liquid first, like beyond emulsification, I would imagine.
No, I mean, because otherwise the texture would look like our French pork liver pate.
Yeah,
you barely have to chew this.
yeah.
Like
It basically falls
No
apart.
snap. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. That's really good. What millimeter do you think that is?
Mm,
5, 10,
10. I'm gonna say 10.
That is
Like,
super
it's
thin.
tiny.
Yeah. That's pretty close to a Slim Jim, but way better.
Yeah,
You wanna
it's like
say-
a really good Slim Jim.
I want to say Slim Jim is like an 11 or 12,
Okay.
maybe a not more than a 13.
Well, then if
That
that's an
has to
11
be
or 12,
smaller than
this
a
is
Slim Jim.
significantly smaller than a Slim Jim, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I like the flavor of Slim Jim. What I don't like is that oil. Like it just sticks
Oh,
and it
yeah.
gives me heartburn. Some people like legitimately want that taste though, or legitimately want that oil in it. I'm like, you
They
find
don't-
some additive and throw it in there. I don't know.
They don't know any better. They just
Right, it's what they're used
they
to.
assume Slim Jim is the standard.
Yep.
And they want to replicate it.
So the second to last thing we have to try. A couple weeks ago, I talked about this company up in Minnesota that was making biltong, which is a traditional African type of jerky. So I decided to go on their website and order some of it. This bag has 0 sugar, 32 grams of protein. There are an entire package is 1 serving, and there's only 160 calories in it. That's pretty good. Yeah, the entire thing.
I'm going to
is-
just only eat that. What's the bad side if I only ate that? What do I?
I imagine your stomach would start revolting at some point.
That's good. A purge. Okay. Great
It's
way to
got
stay in
1
shape.
carbohydrate, got a lot of sodium. It's got 33% of your daily sodium in 1 serving.
How many servings in a bag?
One bag, 1 serving.
Oh, well, then there you go.
This is a true, legitimate, no nitrite product. So that's how you do it. Is it's salt cured. That's why there's so much salt in it. So this is bold and spicy. What do you got?
Just traditional. It's good.
Bold and spicy is good.
Yeah, that is very good. I just love how they do this. So we talked about it last time, but they cure like an entire cut of meat, and it's usually something fairly not tall, and then they slice it, and you can see that in the slice. Like here is the outside, and here's the inside. Oh, that's better.
It's very good.
The spicy one's a little bit better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is called Moto flavor, which is bold and spicy, I assume. Basically the exact same ingredient or exact same calories, all of that. So it says 100% farmed beef.
What does that really mean?
Did I ever tell you when I went out to Fiji once and they have wild cows, like cows that look like cows here, maybe not as fat, just randomly walking around the island, and anyone is free to kill them and harvest them. You just kill them and harvest them.
Oh, what if you don't harvest them?
I think you're just a psychopath. So
Oh, I thought it said I could kill the cows.
he said I could kill
What's
this.
going on?
So 100% farm beef, 6 timeless ingredients, air dried to perfection, guaranteed natural, gluten-free, paleo-friendly. Yeah, so it's ZambeziBiltong.com. ZambeziBiltong.com. It's good. I'm a fan of that. Don't eat more of that. Austin's eating more of the cat food.
That's not
It's
that.
French pate.
It is bad.
It's not bad at all. Like I said, I'm going to eat that again. That stuff's good.
I like eating things. This is weird. I don't know how to say this. I like eating things that like a classically trained French chef makes. I don't like French food. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You like- you-
Because the basics of French style cooking agree with me, but like their actual food, I don't like.
You like how the food is prepared and taken care of.
But I don't like horse. I don't like. Yeah. I mean, I like their bread and their.
You're saying
pastries.
like of course French food done by like a 3 or 4 star restaurant. You're like, of course I'm going to love that. But you're saying French food like prepared by someone at their home who lives in France, you wouldn't like.
So
if they're
yes,
preparing the same
but
dish. So to speak?
if I go to a non-French restaurant and the chef is like classically French trained, that's like a sign he knows what he's doing. I'm going to like what he does. As long as he's not trying to feed me horse, snails, things like that.
Okay.
So, all right. The last one. Austin's taking a good amount of time with this because
mystery meat.
It is not mystery meat. We know what it is. It is wild caught octopus. I will find the bag while you open it.
I can't even, like, what do you think that's going to look like when you open it up?
Zero clue.
Oh, I think it's going to be little baby octopus.
Hold on. Like,
right,
is
then
it
I'll
gonna?
be excited.
Is it gonna look like little legs with suction?
I think
cut?
it's just going to be some of the tentacles.
or is it just gonna be like what Austin had? Like it's just all reformed.
It won't be that.
Wow.
I think it's going to be whole octopus, but it's packed in there tight.
Okay.
It's decently heavy. There's a lot of something in here.
So this is wild pulpo octopus in Spanish olive oil. It's hand packed in Galicia, Spain. It has
that is some thick oil.
100% natural artisan product. No
Please,
colors or
everyone.
preservatives. Refrigerate after opening.
I'm trying to open it really carefully. I don't want to spill it on me.
Watch your eyes, okay?
There's a story behind that. This is interesting. Austin's really struggling with this.
Oh,
Take your
God.
time.
He's not happy,
Oh, the
folks.
smell hit him.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's not happy.
You could,
I'm going to throw up.
dude. He hit it by
Yes.
it got open a centimeter. And he went.
Hate it. Oh, he hates it. Oh, yes, yes.
There's the thumbnail.
I'm going to love it. Patrick just said, there's the thumbnail. Yeah, you don't have to take the whole thing
That's open
off.
enough.
All right.
It's not whole octopuses, but they're
It's chunks.
chunks.
Oh, here's what I don't like about it. It does not feel tender at all. It was actually a little difficult to get that toothpick in it.
That's what I'm saying. It's still holding on the toothpick, so it's not.
Wait.
It's not like chicken in a can.
Oh, yeah, you got
It's
the suckers.
pretty.
Just make sure that it's ready to eat. It doesn't say cook first.
He's trying to find a way out of this, ladies and gentlemen.
It's canned.
Oh, this product has been. Oh, dang! It's been produced free of peanuts. I
Are
can't
you
eat
going to
this.
lie and say you had a peanut allergy?
My son does. I can't take that stuff home with me.
And no one's asking you to take it home with you. We're just asking you to eat it now.
Yeah, there's no reason I don't think I can get out of this. I don't know why I bought this.
You ready? Because it was interesting. 1, 2, 3, go.
You might like it.
Not
it's-
that bad.
Yeah. No, it tastes fishy, but not bad. Trying to compare that to something. I don't like sardines, but like almost a little bit of a sardine flavor to it. When you bite into it and the olive oil gets pushed out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't sit down and snack on that, but it's not bad.
if I don't look at the little suckers on it, it would be okay.
I got a good picture of the suckers with your face in the background. So
Great.
we'll use that. Luckily, Austin bought some cheese as a,
Palate cleanser.
and that's needed at the moment. All right. I do not like the smell of that at all, though.
Nope.
Yeah. So we're going to do something about that so we're not sitting here smelling that the whole time. All right. So that's it for the food portion. Before we get to...
I'm going to still eat the French pate as we go.
Can you take it closer to you? Before we get into the where Jon has been, we do have a couple of Meatgistics reward stuff that has arrived in the last day or so. We've got a digital camo Ron Parrish, a digital camo Dave in Arizona. That's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Dave in AZ, that is a fast ascension. And we've got ND Mike for the Walton's
sweet.
Ogio. Is that what you call this?
Ogio,
Polo.
yeah.
So you guys, I'll get those sent out tomorrow to you. So thank you and congratulations. We also have figured out we have a very good idea what our next reward level item is going to be. I think you guys will really like
I
it.
didn't know how secret that was.
Oh, you told people.
I halfway told one person,
Okay, no worries.
but didn't exactly tell them.
Okay, yeah. There's still actually some figuring out to do because we found that we can actually get better prices on better things than that through something else. So we might go that route.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I have been up in Minnesota seeing the Ron Shera guys. We needed to talk about what we're going to do with them in 2023. review what we did in 2022, what worked, what didn't, all of that. But as I was going up there, they have awesome muskie fishing up there. I'm a huge fan of all fishing, but Travis is like a savant. So Travis Frank, host of The Flush and The Flush podcast, is a savant with these fish. I mean, when Austin and I went, when I tell you we got the boat, or he got the boat where he wanted, and he told us cast 25 yards out that way, they're going to grab it as it's dropping, just be ready to set. Everything he told us was right.
He not only that, but he demoed it, and on his first cast, right where he was going, he gets a bite, like boom.
So real quick, I asked about that because he was showing us what he wanted us to do with a particular muskie lure, and Mark brought that up. He's like, you ever just like catch a muskie on, this? He's like, that's happened 4 times with muskies. It's like on other ones when I do it, he's like, I will intentionally get to a spot, see a school of them on the front view and throw one out there, catch it on one, then give it to him. He's like, then when if they can't catch anything, it's like, hey, I did it. And they'll always ask like, oh, you do it again. He's like, no, that's all you get is one. So he's like setting himself up as almost like this mythical character in their mind, which is fair. I mean, his knowledge of that lake and Minnetonka is insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So we'll get into that. But also in this is Patrick is a big Tennessee Titans fan. I'm a big Washington fan. They played this past weekend. We made a bet. Didn't want to put any money on it because of how bad Washington is. So we agreed that if he won, I would tell an embarrassing story. And if I won, he would tell an embarrassing story. Obviously, he won. And I had my story all picked out, but it changed this weekend. I'll tell you that much. So anyways, all right, we get there. I get there Monday night. We go right out to the lake and we start fishing. He's got these 2, he called them minnows, which is ridiculous because they were legitimately over a foot long and they were suckers. So he's got this rig with like almost pinchers at the front and they go in the fish's nostrils on either side. And then it's got a chain running or a steel leader, whatever you want to call it, leading back to what looks like a treble hook. Just one of the hooks is turned sideways and then another one to the same type of hook. So what you do, you put it through its nostrils, you take that sideways hook and you barely put it into the side of the fish and again on the back. So what you're wanting to have happen there is when the muskie comes up and grabs that, like that type of bait is just, that type of bait is just not going to let go. So you be real calm, take a second, get your pole set like directly over it, and then you just set as hard as you possibly can. The idea there being that those 2 hooks that are barely in it are going to rip right out and you'll have just the muskie left. He said it happens more often than you would think, that you actually get the muskie up next to the boat, even maybe in the net, and it just finally lets go. It was never hooked. It just didn't want to let go of I mean, they're super aggressive. Now, he also said that because these fish are now under like such stress that they really only eat a couple times a day. We fished throughout the rest of the day, but like they have 2 to 4 windows, 15-minute windows in a day that they'll eat. He says they'll all turn on at once and they'll all turn off at once. And he said sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset are really like the triggers. So with muskie fishing, if you're not doing those side things, you're throwing out like a basically it just looks like a huge buzz bait with specific spoons, and you bring it up to the boat, and a lot of times they'll follow it in, but they don't know what it is. So you do a figure 8, which is where it comes in. You take your pole, you reel it all the way up to the steel leader, and then you get your pole about 2 feet in the water, and you do big, lazy figure 8s. So a lot of the time, apparently, it will decide like as it's turning, because it's been following it the whole time. It's been straight and now it's turning and it's like, oh, it's trying to get away. I better grab it. So anyways, we're doing that. Gets dark out. Moon is just about to come up and I'm doing a figure 8. I can't see anything. As I'm coming around on this side, whack, just slammed. So I yanked, set it. And with those baits, you want to set it like right away because they will let go of those. So it's, it's right up next to the boat. It didn't take any more line really. So I'm just like fighting it right there. Its head's out, flapping all around. And he's trying to tell me something. but I'm just like, I'm not hearing him. I'm too like jacked up from it. So he's saying something, and finally he goes, forget it, I'll just get the net. And he goes in and he just nets it right away. So this fish is what he would call very green. So didn't tire it out at all. So it was full of piss and vinegar. So he grabs it. He's like, you ever handled a muskie before? And I've done northern pike and whatever. So it's basically the same thing. And I've caught small muskies. So yeah, go in, miss on the first one. And I get this large cut that's actually rather puffy.
That's infected.
And it's not really infected. It's not infected.
No, that's infected.
It's not. So I get this rather large cut that did not stop bleeding for quite some time. It also got me here, and it ripped up all my fingers. So it got me pretty good. But in the end, it was a 36 inch muskie. Really, really pretty fish. And he was trying to tell me, so he wanted me to hold it a specific way. Not for the fish's health, but that's how it would look best. And I was fine up here. Obviously, I know where to grab it along the gill plate. But back here, he kept saying, move your hand back behind the fin. So it's got that little, I don't know if you call it a caudal fin. I assume it's caudal fin. So I thought he just meant back this way. But what he was trying to tell me is like pull my hand underneath so it doesn't look, you see more of the fish and less of my hand. But I just didn't get that till after. Again, very, very pumped up. Very, very pumped up. So anyways, catch that. The moon rises maybe 5 minutes, but probably closer to 2 minutes later. Like he knew exactly what was going to happen.
That's amazing.
The downside was last week they had a soft freeze and a hard freeze Thursday and Friday. Record highs Monday and Tuesday. So that's shutting fish off. And we, whatever, doesn't matter. Still had an amazing time. The next day we went back out and we were casting. It was super windy and I kept getting rat's nest on one of his poles. Like it would cast fine, rat's nest. It was annoying me. And so it happened again. I'm throwing and I'm not really paying attention because I hadn't rat nested in a while. Pole pulls right out of my hands. Literally pulls right out of my hands. Lukey says I waited like a quarter of a second and I dove in after it. Right. So really like when I say dive in, I didn't like dive in. I pushed, I got down after it. Went further than I expected. So I touched the pole. That's all I ever did was touch the pole. And I managed to jam my thigh up against the railing, but I'm going over. Like I've got a hoodie on, I've, top heavy anyways. I'm about to go over. So I don't know any of this story, but Lukey said they both like paused, kind of shocked. Finally, Lukey goes, well, grab his legs. So they grab my legs, pull me back in. My entire upper half is just soaked.
Oh my gosh.
I had his glasses on, his fishing pole. And we had talked about it the night before because I asked, have you ever lost a fishing pole while fishing for these? And he goes, no, the cork on the handle will make them float. So they'll come right back up. Even if there's a muskie on it, it says eventually it'll shake it and the pole will come up. So when we got back up, he's like, I told you they float. It's like, why did you go in after it? I'm like, I just saw it and had to go for it. Was
it like cold the rest of the day then? If you were wearing a hoodie?
So the wind was coming through. That was very early in the morning. So I took off the hoodie. I took off my shirt. He had an extra shirt, but it was at best a medium. It was a Rapala shirt at best a medium. So I'm a fat guy in a little shirt.
Travis's, not Lukey's.
No. Yeah, it was Travis's size. Yeah, so I was feeling a little tight there. I was kind of glad we didn't catch any muskies during that period. Anyways, then we moved over to Lake Minnetonka, and I was very upset because if that had happened on Lake Minnetonka, I could have said I purified myself in the water of Lake Minnetonka, just like Dave Chappelle. Anyways, but we caught some walleye there, and Travis filleted them right there. Gave them to me in a plastic bag and gave me a cooler. He also gave me some sausage that he and his family make. So I don't have a freezer in my room. So I've got it in that cooler on ice all night, pushed all the way in the back of the little refrigerator I have. Morning, switch out the ice, put it inside my carry-on suitcase, right? Never even occurs to me that I might have a problem getting that through security. So I'm going through security, and my bag, I see it get pulled. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like, how stupid am I? Of course. And at this point, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to lose the ice, which means I'm going to lose the fish. Like, I can't take them. I'm like, but the sausage was frozen solid when he gave it to me. And the bratwursts were smoked, cured. So we're good on that. So I'm preparing for it. And then I'm like, wait a minute. They don't care about the item. They care about the ice. So the lady comes up and she's like, oh, you know, looking through something here. She's like, what do you have? I'm like, explain the situation to her. I'm like, you know, this is kind of the whole reason I came up here. So I, you know, would really like to take it back. She's like, well, you know, can't let you through with the ice. It's carry on. I was like, all right, I promise I will check it at the gate. Like, I 100% will do that. I'll pay anything it has to. She's like, but it's a liquid. I'm like, but is it? I'm like, but is it a liquid? She's like, well, yes. I'm like, but it's not right now, right? And she's like, no, but it will melt and become a liquid. I'm like, right. But you're concerned that it's not water, right? The reason you're not letting me take this on is because you're thinking maybe it's like has some sort of explosive material in it.
You
like,
said that to her?
Yes.
Wow. Oh.
But I said, but it's not because it froze. She's like, she's like, I don't understand. I'm like, well, water freezes like this.
Explosive materials.
I didn't say that. I said something else would have, you know, either a color to it or would freeze in a different shape. I'm like, this is obviously ice from an ice machine. Like, you can tell that that's what this is. I got it from my hotel room. I was being super polite during the entire thing. I think I even started out with, listen, I 100% understand if I can't take it. I'm like, but I really, really want to. So it went back and forth for like 3 minutes. She eventually went and talked to somebody else. He came over and he's like, all right, so tell me what's going on. So I just relayed that whole story again. He's like, yeah, okay, you can take it. I was like, awesome.
Sweet.
So we have that back. I'm going to, at some point in a future podcast, Travis gave me like what he normally does with it. So we're going to roll it, dry it off, roll it in chicken on the run, then egg wash it, then put it in panko breadcrumbs. But we're going to do a couple of different seasonings that we're going to add to the chicken on the run. So it should be interesting, which is great because that is one of my favorite types. Walleye is one of my favorite types of fish to eat. So
that's good. I was very concerned like that you were going to come back and tell us that you caught nothing.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think you sent me a picture of fish. You sent the pictures you sent me were like, joking pictures.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to not hide, but I was kind of trying to hold that for the podcast. And I'm dead tired, guys, but I will put together a Meatgistics post because I've got a couple other good things, but that's the muskie.
That's nice.
So also the next day, one followed my bait all the way up, even as to the point where I was doing the figure eights, which I kept calling figure fours because the wrestling term, I guess. Yeah, we had a whole thing about that. And then we saw a northern strike at it from a while out, but that was really all we got on the second day for muskies. So it's still a great time.
Yeah.
Absolutely great time.
It's awesome.
All right. I thought I grabbed that, but I don't see it, which means it's over there. Do you want to go on to the product?
Oh, yeah. So we will have more details on exact availability and pricing to come soon. But as soon as we could, we wanted to show you guys what new is coming down the line. We finally have our new attachment for the quick patty maker that takes... you take out a 5 or 6 inch patty, and you replace it with a new insert that's going to make about a 2.5 inch breakfast sausage patty. For literally, it's been years. People have asked, like, we want to make a different patty size. We want to do this. We want to do something else. And we're like, yeah, we don't really want to do it because the molding and the costs behind it are fairly substantial. So we finally broke down and said, yep.
Perfect.
Let's do it. Let's get it. So we got our demo unit in. I want to say Andrew said that it was actually tried.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We tried them, made a bunch. It worked basically exactly as this one does. So it is just the mold insert. So it will work with ours, and we're 99% sure that it will work with anyone else's as well.
Anybody else that has a similar looking, similar named,
and similar size. Like the size of this is what's really key. But you just take out the old one, put in the new one, and it works like a charm. I ran through like 10 pounds of it in no time whatsoever. So pretty great.
It's going to be sweet.
Yep. That's something that was requested for the first time a long time, like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Years
It's been
ago.
a while.
It's the advantage of having Andrew.
Yeah.
Somebody who can actually like chase those things down.
Yeah. Because otherwise we don't.
Yeah, we don't have time.
We don't.
All right.
On to Meat Matters.
On to Meat Matters.
So the first one.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. We'll go to that.
Is that not the first one?
No, I added one last minute. Literally, it popped up on my phone like as we were coming back here to record.
You know, mine doesn't update though.
Yeah.
All right, go to this one first as that one updates.
Okay. So this was, I don't have a whole ton of commentary on it. I just thought this one was really cool. So inside a ancient Roman military camp, this article's from the Miami Herald.
Yeah, I have that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought I was skipping to the second
You're right.
one.
I'm sorry.
I'm very
Go ahead.
confused.
Nope, you're good.
We're on the
You're
same
doing what
page?
you're supposed to do.
Okay. So inside this ancient military camp, they found a quote unquote fridge. For what they could have as a fridge back then, obviously no electricity, but basically it was like a bunch of like ceramic plates and stuff surrounding it. And there were still traces of animal bones, meat product, and some other food that was left inside it. They don't know exactly when it's from, but they do know that military base was stopped being used by the Romans in like the 5th century. So at least 1,500 years old.
That's crazy. And they said that they don't normally find any material inside of them because they're usually demolished when they either redo the building, they usually get rid of that. So finding this seems like it's a pretty rare treat. But it is interesting to think like way back then, it couldn't have been much before that they started even getting to have like that rudimentary technology to be able to do that. I mean, before that, it was just basically salt it until, it is unbelievably dry. And
like the biltong we ate.
I would bet you that everything they ate was much saltier and much drier than that. Not everything,
you think so?
Sorry. Like their preserved meat, yes. I would bet that like they would have big tubs of salt and they would just put it in there for months and months and months until it was totally dry. Because if you get food poisoning back then, much bigger deal than nowadays.
Yeah, you
could die.
Yeah. Has anyone played Oregon Trail?
Yes, you got dysentery and died.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty cool story. All right, so I have that other one now.
Okay, so this one literally fresh off the press. Came out at 1:56 today. Yeah, 4 minutes before.
An hour. Yeah,
I had
whatever.
It popped up on my phone literally minutes before. But
we're not mathematicians.
From Kansas.com, first of 2 Wichita Graze Craze franchises to open Monday. So it's basically just a charcuterie business.
Nope.
I've never heard of the place before.
Nope. We have to address this now. Say that word again.
Charcuterie?
Charcuterie is how I pronounce it.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. You've been in the business your whole life. I imagine you're probably right.
No, don't trust my pronunciation.
Okay. I think it's charcuterie.
You might be saying the real way. I'm just saying, I'm just using like the American lingo for it.
Okay, go ahead.
But I've never heard of it before. Nope. I've never heard of a restaurant concept like that. It's going to be interesting to see what they have in there. They talk about having keto and vegetarian and gluten-free diets. So it sounds like they're going to have a pretty wide variety of stuff. It sounds like some of their stuff is made in-house, but the charcuterie, I think that all comes from the franchisor
making it.
Which way? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Them making it, but then the other stuff is made locally in the store. Like dips and fresh bread. So if you have meat and fresh bread, I'm in.
It's an awesome idea. And you have to think the markup on that's going to be phenomenal. I mean, think about how expensive prosciutto is at the store, right? So they're going to mark it up even more than that. The question will come down to, are they buying this from somebody or are they making it themselves? Because if it's the same stuff I can get in the store, I'm not interested. If it's if they have an artisan making it, then I'm very interested in it.
We'll have to see if we can buy any that's still in the package. Then we can get the USDA stamp and find out who's making it. It has to be made USDA because it's coming out of state. So it's not a local state inspected deal.
Unless they also have one in Kansas, it's unlikely.
I don't think so.
It's unlikely. But wait a minute. So you're thinking we can go there and buy, like, hey, I want a pound of your, I think it's more you eat in store. No? Did I misunderstand that?
I think it could be both because they talk about like
grab and go lunch.
Yeah, charcuterie like to go boards, right. And their boards are recyclable. They're not like wood and you have to return them or anything. So we can't get people to return carts. There's no way they're going to get. Yeah, never going to happen. Okay, that is pretty cool. All right, your next story. I know I've talked a lot about how I no longer understand time. But there's no way it's been a year since we talked about this story last. They must do this more than once a year. So my understanding is that, well, this was not just like one thing. So this story is from the obviously one of the best newspapers of all time, the Austin American-Statesman, out of Austin, Texas. But says, in Austin, butchers slice on ice for Texas Roadhouse meat cutting challenge. So they do it every year, but this is not like the whole event. This was like their local event. Okay. So then there's regionals, then there's national. So it's an ongoing process. So it's just starting. So I don't know. It didn't really say when nationals is, but I'm assuming it probably takes a couple months. So maybe we only talked about it
4 months ago. I thought it was. That was my guess.
Something like that.
Hosted at Chaparral Ice, a skating rink in North Austin. 14 butchers lined up on the ice and chiseled down 30 to 40 pounds of meat into perfect fillets, sirloins, and ribeyes that were judged on quality, yield, and speed. Now, when we're talking about yield, are they talking about like finished cooking weight? Because that's going to matter a lot, obviously, on how you cook it.
I think their yield is how much can you get out of it that you're going to be able to sell and serve.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That makes perfect sense. But there's $25,000 national prize. So whoever wins that, don't buy crypto.
It's just, I thought it was interesting because, I mean, they're cutting a lot of steaks, but they get a whole hour to do it. I feel like it wouldn't take that long to do.
It wouldn't take us that long to do, but we wouldn't do it that well.
That's true.
So, I mean, I don't think we'd be in the running for the national prize.
The only other thing that bothered me about this is there was a picture somewhere I saw. I'm looking for it now. There it is. There's a picture. The guy has a jacquard.
Yeah. Why does he have the jacquard?
Yeah. Because one, I don't think you need it. Two, that goes back to our discussion last week on the last podcast, talking about stuff on the outside, going to the inside. What are you cooking at? Yeah. Use a jacquard on a steak and then you lose your ability to.
You definitely wouldn't do it on a ribeye. You definitely wouldn't do it on a fillet. Is there any reason to do it on a sirloin?
Sirloin, maybe. Just it's going to be a tougher cut.
Yeah, I don't. So it's just going to tenderize it. Yeah, I mean maybe that's what it is. But yeah. All right. Next story. Most vegans support lab-grown meat.
I like how you took over on this.
But won't eat it. Yep. As soon as we get to lab-grown meat or vegans, that's my territory. Most vegans support lab-grown meat, but won't eat it, poll shows. The majority of vegans support lab-grown meat, but only a quarter would go so far as to eat it. So who are you making this for? Because that has to be your target audience. So if you're failing to reach them, you're not getting off the ground.
If the picture is accurate,
I know.
I would try it.
I know.
It looks good. It
looks exactly like a fillet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that is accurate. Now,
it's cultured in a Petri dish that is already like
the perfect
ready for a hamburger
size. Yeah. Now, on some of the fillets and other cuts we've seen, there's different ways to do it, right? The one company that was talking about doing 3D printed, their steaks looked the best by far because they could get marbling in there perfectly. I don't think that's going to be an option with just like culture grown meat, but appearance is like, listen, for this to make it, it's got to be either cheaper, better, or something. And right now it doesn't look like it's going to be cheaper. And I don't know why it would be better. So I don't think it's whatever. Yeah. I think this is all money that's never going to be realized. It's probably all a tax write-off scheme for these companies.
Yeah.
That was kind of a joke, but
no,
maybe not.
I mean, in part it could be. I mean, if there was another article, I don't know if I put in here, but it was about Bill Gates and some of the stuff he's looking at doing. And one of his comments was like, the stuff we're doing now, he has no plans or intentions of it being a thing, but it's just about innovating to get to the next step because something will come from it.
Right.
It's like stuff with NASA. Some people are like, why do we do this? Well, we get all kinds of fun, great things from NASA. We got Velcro.
Yep.
Like there's just, when you're doing stuff like that, it just has side results that make up for everything that goes into it. So I don't know. This just reminded me too. I have a slightly embarrassing story that I have to share now. Your issue with steaks the other day, I tried to repeat it. Oh, okay. Not on purpose.
Yeah. It just happened?
It just happened.
Okay.
It was Monday night. I was cooking steaks. My wife was cooking other stuff inside. I'm trying to do outside. The kids are a mess. Both of them are just not having a good day. And so I'm trying to take care of them since Jenny's had them all day, give her a break. I need to go outside. And so there's more to it. So I'll try to, I didn't start at the beginning. I'm going back out because I need to keep adjusting what I'm doing with the steaks because I had 2 steaks set out. One ended up being a broken package that I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. I cut it open, smelled it, and I'm like, I'm not chancing it.
Where'd you get it from? Was it Dylan's? If it's don't say it if it's a small butcher or something.
No, it's the stuff we've had for over a year now.
Oh, what do you expect with that? Oh my, I'm going to go back there sometime and take a video of it and show to people. Yeah. There are hundreds of ribeye steaks back there that are just in not Ziplocs.
Roll stock.
Roll stock.
Yeah. So.
Wait, do we know exactly how many?
No, they don't know exactly how many. There's a camera that faces that, though.
It was inventoried at one point in time. At this point, I don't know. But
they do.
I quickly got out another steak, had it in hot water in the sink, filled up, trying to like kind of sous vide it to defrost it. And so I know that one's going to have to take some special attention to get it cooked at about the same time the other one. So I finally realized on my Camp Chef, I have the ability to turn it into a sear station because you just pull the thingy over. I'm not using the right lingo. I don't know what it's called, but it moves the heat shield and then you're grilling over the firebox. I'm like, sweet.
You've never done that before?
Never done it. I was like, I'm going to cook this thing. The one that was like still semi-frozen in the middle. I'm like, we're going to speed it up. The other one I had on the top rack on the side. I'm like, it's going to be great. Started going. It's going well. Totally forgot I'm cooking ribeyes that are very fatty. Yeah. And these were extra fatty. And I even thought about cutting off some of the fat before I even cooked it. Because I'm like, it's like a third of the steak.
Exact same thing.
And I started a fire. And it was not pretty. And my son and daughter are at the slider door to the patio, just hitting on it, looking, and just because I was trying to keep them entertained. And so all of a sudden, my son, Leo, sees it and he starts telling Mom what's going on. And I come inside and Jenny's like, what's going on? Leo says there's fire everywhere.
Yeah, teach him not to rat. Never tell.
But I got a platter and I had to take the steaks off because I couldn't hardly even reach in the thing. Yeah, flames were like everywhere.
Yeah. When's the last time you cleaned it?
Oh, I don't.
Oh, then that contributed. Yeah, for sure. I think so. You don't have a sear box. You have the Sidekick.
Yeah, the griddle on the side.
So, I think it probably would have worked better on that griddle. And B, I think part of my problem with those was that I'm used to cooking with the grill grates. I didn't have them, so that fat is just dripping right down onto the flame instead of getting hopefully burned off on
the grill grates first. So,
but very amusing. Now, one last thing on the vegetarian thing, and this is like a very bad marketing decision on their side. Lab-grown meat, also referred to as cultivated meat, that's fine. Cell-based meat, that's fine. Clean meat, I argue that, but again, that's fine. Or in vitro meat.
I don't sound
think
a little
that's
weird.
A good plug for that. When I hear in vitro, I think of one thing, and it has nothing to do with eating.
Yeah, I think so this will tie into a little bit to one of the later news stories. Okay. They got to figure out what they're doing on labeling because how you label it is going to make all the difference on whether people are like, I would eat that, or go, that sounds too weird. I don't want to do it. So I don't know.
All right, you want to move on to your soul crush?
Oh, yeah, we can jump to that. That is...
Oh, is that not the Supreme Court story?
No.
All right, let's go to the Supreme Court story then.
Okay. So, Supreme Court has a decision in front of them. I think it was argued Monday or Tuesday, and it's about California's Prop 12, which basically says... lost my spot. There we go. There's... it's an argument over the treatment of pigs as they're being raised for harvest, and California's control over that process, because only 1% of pork is produced inside of California, but like 13% of it is consumed. So if the law goes through, they're going to be affecting what other people are doing in other states, which is the argument from one side is basically saying like it's interstate commerce. You can't control what we're doing. But there was supposed to be only 70 minutes of oral arguments, and that just doubled instantly. And it's looking really iffy on what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of times when something goes to the Supreme Court, it's like left versus right, or some sort of ideological background behind it that really just ties one side to the other. Those typical sides, usually you can tell where somebody's going looking off of the questions they're asking, and it's totally mixed up. I think it's a wild card as to what's going to actually happen here. But it's going to make a huge difference on pork production if they don't strike it down, because they want a minimum of 24 square feet per animal, which more or less 5 foot by 5 foot, which doesn't sound like a ton of room, but when you
expand that out, yeah. And I believe Prop 12 also had that it has to live 3/4 of its normal natural life. And a certain percentage of that has to be like open grazing, I believe, too. I think that's the Prop 12. Don't worry about that part. What's really concerning is they think they can say, if you want to sell in this state, you have to meet these requirements. If they wanted to say, for our pig farmers, whatever, that's California. But like you just said, they have no right or authority. And what I would love to see Cargill and all those companies do is go, okay, no more shipping to California. I mean, I know 2 businesses that will not do any business in California, period. They will not send shipments to California. They will not hire a contractor from California, because all these crazy rules coming out. Like there was a 10% tax rate on your entire business if you had anything in California at one point. I don't know if that went through or not, but that's just the type of thing that they're talking about. And it's a shame, because there's a ton of agriculture in California. We tend to think of it as just San Francisco, LA, and San Francisco and LA, I guess. But I mean, 80% of the state is very rural and very agricultural based. So
yeah, my biggest concern through the whole deal is we already talk about for literally the last 2 years about meat prices and where things are going, and the amount, if it goes through, it's going to jack up meat prices a lot. Good news is pork, like we talked about last week, pork at least is a little bit lower than it has been. Yeah. But there's always little things like that are just coming along that I think we're just going to forever see prices continue to just hit new records. We get a little reprieve from it, and then the next thing comes and we start jacking things up again. So possibly what's going to come out of this is you'll have people who really want to continue eating as much meat as they always have, like myself, who are just going to end up going directly to a place like Crable's and buying halves, quarters, wholes, whatever they can afford. And then they'll eat all of that. And then less will be sold through the stores and will become more of a specialty item. It might help. Yeah, maybe I should support it because it might help our market. Like it could be a boom for the small to mid-size processor.
Here's the downside to it. While long-term, buying a half, quarter, whatever would be economically like responsible for me, there are a lot of people who want to eat meat who don't have that ability to do it. Like they don't have whatever it is to invest in that right then. So, I mean, those people are going to get the short end of the stick, which is not cool.
Yeah. I don't know. And I'm going to add this to my watch list of stuff to see what happens. We probably won't find out an answer for 6 months, but
yeah, I would imagine at least
probably spring when they come out with decisions.
Takes so long. Okay.
We'll see. The next story just sounded cool. There's not a lot of point to this one. But it was, I didn't even.
Do you want me to, do you not have it?
I didn't open it up.
Tanzania?
Yeah. So there's 74 people that have gotten sick in Tanzania and 3 people that died from eating poisonous turtles. Didn't know that was a thing.
Didn't know that. Yep.
Had no idea.
Absolutely not.
I thought, I don't know why in my mind, like, I thought it was like if something was poisonous, it wouldn't be necessarily poisonous to eat like that. It'd be like if it was a reptile, if it was a snake, it could be a poisonous snake, but you can still eat snakes.
No, venomous. Poisonous is if you eat it. Venomous.
I've got the wrong thing in my mind then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So still, I did not know that I know there were poisonous frogs. I did not know there were poisonous turtles. My question is, did they have their correct turtle shell cracking hammers?
Is that a thing?
No. Nobody gets it? Nah. Reference to The Office. Okay. Dwight gives Jim and whatever her name is, like a set of turtle shell cracking hammers for the wedding gift. Just
weird.
Very weird.
But so technically it's illegal in China to eat turtles, but they sell them and do it anyways.
Oh, and nothing bad has ever happened with that.
Then it's the description on the sickness was vomiting continuously. It sounds very painful.
Now, you did kind of say that you found this funny, but 3 people did die.
True.
So Patrick, obviously, very, very concerned back
Sounds like ayahuasca or something. They're just profusely vomiting. Is there a shaman too with this?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that is another important, know what you're eating. Don't just grab something out of the wild without knowing what it is.
Oh, I said.
What?
Wait, were both those Tanzania. Stories in Tanzania?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm skipping the next one unless you want to talk about it.
No, I'm fine.
We got other stuff. Next one, this just brought horror to my mind, and as we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, me like imagining things and like playing things out in my head. When I read this, I'm imagining my hand stuck in like a huge meat grinder. But a guy, I'm not even sure where this was from. The article is from
a meat factory worker.
Yeah, it's from Irish Examiner,
so probably somewhere in Ireland.
Yeah, but he had to wait 2 hours to get not just his hand, his arm out of what I think is a meat grinder. It said it was something that was used to mince meat.
And it says rotation blades. Yeah. So it's either a bull chopper, because that has rotation blades.
I just wouldn't think you would get caught in a bull chopper.
It would just slice it off. Like if you put your hand in there, just whatever it hit is gone.
Yeah, but he was stuck there for 2
So
hours.
It could have been he reached in and the auger turned and like just trapped his hand like that. That would have made sense. At what point are you cutting your own arm off though?
Could you even?
Well, they got meat cleavers there.
Well, you can't reach them.
No.
Get someone else. Ooh, that's a big ask.
Dude,
like, even if you're good friends with someone at work, being like, hey, can you cut my arm off so I can get it out of this machine?
What's the movie that was based on the story about the guy that was caught while he was like hiking in like a canyon?
72 hours.
72 hours.
172 hours?
127 hours.
Wow, I had 2 numbers right.
Break and saw his arm off to get out. Isn't that what he did?
No, caught his arm off with a pocket knife.
Dude, the most brutal part about that is then like, sure, cutting his arm off, but then he pulls out his own nerve. So you get to see it. He drops that. And then they play this tone that's like, wah, like a guitar kind of twang with it so when you're watching it, it's not just a visual thing, it's a full body meltdown.
But this is a good time to remind everybody to be very careful when you're using any type of powered meat equipment. It is all designed in some way to turn flesh into sausage or some sort of restructured product, and it doesn't care if it's pork, beef, or your arm.
Have you ever seen worst case scenario? Like we're reading the story, but have you ever seen any pictures of like what happens?
I've seen a bunch of. I think Andy makes people who start in customer service look at some pictures of.
Do you see?
Well, do you see? It's like this is what will happen if you're not careful.
No, 100%. It just reminds me. There was some website back, like, gosh, the internet was a crazy place, like 15 years ago, where you're just like, oh, I guess I don't really even know what that looks like. And you're just like, okay, now I do. Let me get out of here.
Move on.
Yeah,
don't want it. Did you have anything else you want to talk about that?
Nope.
Okay. Holstone Farms $500 million pork plant put on pause.
So this is from Meat and Poultry, and saw this and thought it was interesting because of what we've talked about with the Western Legacy Development Corporation and their $1.1 billion plant. Well, there's another one that's still pretty big sized plant, pork instead of, I think they were Western
cattle.
Yeah, they were doing bison and cattle. Yep. So this one pork, but Sioux Falls was like, nope, we don't want you. Which at first I was like, okay, I could see why you maybe wouldn't want somebody there that's doing a lot of slaughter and whatnot. But then I saw, well, Smithfield has a pork plant right there that employs 3,700 people. Is 3 times the size. It's like, okay.
What is that about?
Is this more of our big producers pushing out the little guys again?
Yep.
I feel like
say, hey, town council, keep these guys out. We'll keep your campaign fully funded.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but just the optics of it don't look good. Yeah. But I was I'm at least excited that hopefully they find somewhere else to go and they find a place where they can build another big plant.
And they do well and put the big guys out of business.
And the other interesting fact on Holstone, it's owned by 200 independent family farmers. So it is a big company, but it's like a big company owned by small companies.
We should try to get in touch with them too.
Yeah.
Also, my How to Go Vegan starter kit has not arrived yet. It has not come yet.
At this point, we got to have like a huge segment once we get that in.
That will be an episode probably.
Yeah.
All right. Next one's from Meat and Poultry. HPAI, which I assume is some way of saying the avian influenza.
Highly pathogenic avian influenza.
Is not expected to influence holiday turkey availability. That's interesting.
With an asterisk. Frozen turkey. There is still concern for fresh.
Okay. Do you get fresh turkey? How do you buy your turkey?
If I could, I would, because as soon as I buy it, I thaw
start defrosting.
I find that annoying, but I honestly never see fresh turkey anyways, so I always do frozen.
Yeah, mine's always frozen too. So does it really matter that much if fresh aren't as available? I mean, I'm sure it'll matter in some areas, but
yeah, it's just some people who always get fresh and may change their plans on what they have to do, but
I don't feel like that's that big a thing anyways.
Because I want to say last year, or maybe it was the year before, we were slightly concerned over how many turkeys were going to be available because it was looking like there was going to be a shortage. But
hey, did you guys see? This reminds me of a surface I saw recently that helps thaw out meat a little bit sooner.
Yeah, we talked about this. I'll see if I can find that and we'll buy one and try it. So it's a
certain metal, right?
Yeah, it's something to do with copper. It's basically the slap chop, but it actually looks pretty interesting. It's like almost like a cutting board, but it's a defrosting board, and it's actually designed to it draws away the cold.
The thermal conductivity or whatever in the metal is more present. So apparently it's like a heat sink, but a cold sink.
Just get a bunch of CPU coolers with CPU thermal paste. Use that as
put it all over
as like a seasoning around it.
Season thermal paste. All right. So obviously this is the one that.
So the last one
torched your soul.
Yeah. So Arkansas, or just to spite them a little bit, Arkansas court strikes down meat label law. So this is from Meeting Place, and this talks about it's one of those things that just bothers me. I'm not a fan, but Arkansas basically passed a law that was kind of aimed at the company Tofurkey because of their usage of sausage and burger and ham inside of a product that was like plant-based.
Not meat.
And so, not meat. And so it bothers me because there's so many regulations inside the USDA for this product can only be labeled like this and it has to have this in it and do it this way. But when you bring something else in that's plant-based and not meat, then you basically get to throw all the rules out and you can do what you want.
And you can piggyback on all the marketing that they've done already by using their terms that they've made synonymous with a certain taste.
Yeah. So they said it was unconstitutional for freedom of speech stuff. There's also been other similar legal challenges in district court for Louisiana, Mississippi, South Dakota, and some other states, it says. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like all the other ones are not trending in a good direction.
Right.
So I think this is... The judge said that they think that most consumers have the ability to discern when they see something else on it, that it is not just a burger. The problem is most products like that, the meat industry does it too. So I don't want to just rag on just the plant-based meat, but you have to have and say something specific in it and make that really, really small and something else really big. So they're just going to make it say bacon and then in little tiny fine print.
Not real bacon.
Plant-based.
Yeah. Like how ham-like products.
So one of the ham lunch meats I've been eating a lot of, it says in huge lettering, like deli ham. And then in small little tiny lettering, it says and water product with blah, 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 blah. It takes up the whole package in little tiny text, but no one reads that. They don't. Yeah. And when they do, they don't think it means anything.
My argument used to be that the general shopper is advanced enough to discern the difference between, tofurkey and turkey. Like you look at one, you're like, oh, that's clearly not turkey. But what changed my mind on all of that was you and I think Dylan both pointing out the whole advertising thing. Well, they've already spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting you to have a certain opinion of this product. And now they're just jumping on top of that with it not being the same product at all.
Marketers are very good at getting you to believe what they want you to believe too. So it's, yeah.
The big thing though is this is murderer's row of things I don't like. The Good Food Institute, which I heard hires people only from We're Smart College. I mean, that's the stupidest name for a thing ever. The Animal Legal Defense Fund and the ACLU. Those are three, whatever you want to call them, organizations that I could just get rid of and never miss again.
Is that who was involved with it? Really?
Yep.
I didn't catch that part.
Lobbying for it. I used to like the ACLU, but last 6 years they have completely changed.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. On this scenario, I'm not a fan. I wish that things that were meat were more clearly labeled as exactly what it was, and things that are plant-based would actually... I wouldn't even necessarily be opposed to using some of the meat terms in there so people know that that's what it's designed to mimic. But I just think it's going to become the overwhelming part of the product. And it's going to be represented in a way that it is the same thing and not that it's a substitute for. So, yeah.
I saw something the other day. Some lady went to her local grocery store and went to all the flowers, and almost 50% of them on that front little round label where it has some information on it. Ugh. That's even a face a cat would make when it was very happy. Austin ate more of the cat food.
I'm trying to make John sick.
Said now with 10% cricket meal. So they are adding more cricket stuff to more and more stuff. So
that's crazy.
Keep an eye on your label. Real quick, the Judge Barker wrote in the order, the state has not come forward with any evidence of broad marketplace confusion around plant-based meat alternatives to bolster its claim. How are you going to come forward with confusion on that? Are you going to run a bunch of samples of customers or a bunch of surveys of potential customers?
I don't know, because it's technically not something that's in the market yet. So
makes no sense. All right.
I don't know.
You got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. What else do we say at the end of these? I'm very tired.
So get out of here.
Get out of here. Go.
What do you people
Why
want?
are you still here? Leave.
Thanks for checking out the Meatgistics podcast. To shop everything but the meat, head on over to waltons.com. To get your meat processing questions answered by experts and enthusiasts alike, head on over to our online community at meatgistics.com. Waltons, everything but the meat.